Welcome back to Further Thoughts. These are videos that help us think further than what we heard this past Sunday. I'm Joe Tolan, pastor of Kingman Presbyterian Church in Kingman, Arizona. If you don't have a church home, consider this my personal invitation to join us this Sunday at either 9 a.m. for our contemporary service or at 10:45 for our traditional service. Today I want to talk about the big cause for divorce. Now, statistics can certainly be manipulated. However, what we do know and have experienced is that most of us either know people who have divorced or we ourselves have been through a divorce. One source states that roughly 41% of first marriages end in divorce. You would think that the divorcees would have learned some lessons going through that difficult season and would do better the second time around. Well, that same source states that second marriages end in divorce approximately 60% of the time. The statistics get worse from there. The third time is indeed not the charm. 73% of third marriages end in divorce. This should be very alarming. We should ask, what's the problem? Is marriage just so difficult that many don't survive, and even when a second or third chance is offered, failure is almost always inevitable? Is marriage just a failed experiment? As Bible-believing Christians, there are some truths that must be expressed. Marriage was God's idea given to Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. Marriage existed before sin entered the world, and after sin entered the world through Adam's disobedience, the relationship between husband and wife became exceedingly more difficult. What is this difficulty? Well, press pause for a moment and simply go look in the mirror and you'll see the problem. Are you back? Did you see it? That's right. The difficulty's us. The problem with us is that we're broken and sinful, and that brokenness manifests in selfishness and self-centeredness. We probably will not say it out loud, but deep down we really believe that everything is about us and for us. Now, this discussion might be helped by being reminded what marriage was intended to be. Marriage was given to humanity as a gift from God. The text of the first book of the Bible states that it was not good for Adam to be alone. He needed a suitable mate. So God created Eve and brought her to Adam. These two became one flesh. God had given Adam a job, and Eve was to be Adam's helper. They walked together and worked together. They had fellowship and companionship. And in the bonds of marriage, their intimacy would produce more people to populate the earth. This intimacy was to be enjoyed by the husband and wife throughout their lives together. This relationship was meant to not only bring happiness to the couple, but also to produce children and maintain holiness and purity. The Bible is abundantly clear about the sin of non-marital relations. Now, when sin entered the world, holiness and righteousness was no longer natural to us. What now springs from our hearts is selfishness and self-centeredness. Adam and Eve were to love and serve one another. Now we tend to only want to love ourselves and have someone else serve us. Over time in our marriages, these disappointments and wrong actions by us and our spouse can fester into what Ephesians chapter 4, verse 31 calls bitterness and anger and clamor or loud arguments. This resentment of our spouse can lead us to slander them to our friends and family. And then that turns to malice or hatred and even spite. What's easy to do in these situations is begin to tell ourselves lies. If I was married to someone else, I would be treated better. This is a flashing neon sign of our own self-centeredness and selfishness. This is a marriage killer. How do we fix this problem? Well, Ephesians 4:31 through 32 tells us how. We're to put away all that bitterness and resentment from us. We're forbidden as Christians to hold on to that. It's like poison and will eventually destroy our relationships. And then verse 32 tells us how to do this. We are commanded to be kind to one another, even tender-hearted toward our spouse. How do we do this? By recognizing that just as they have disappointed you, you have done the same thing to them. Admitting that we're sinners also is often much harder than accusing our spouse. And then we're to forgive one another. To what extent are we to offer this forgiveness? Well, Ephesians 4:32 states that we're to forgive just as God in Christ forgave us. Here's the bottom line. You can bring death to your marriage through your selfishness, or you can bring life to your marriage through your Christ-likeness. In marriage, the war is often within us and not with our spouse. So until next week, blessings to you.